Let's do it. Welcome into another live commitment. I am excited to be here. I know you guys in the chat are excited to be here. Let me know how you're feeling. I'm feeling good because we got another Rivals Top 100 prospect committing with us today on the Rivals YouTube. We got a lot of action here at the Rivals channel. Were you here yesterday? On the offensive side of the ball, it was quarterback Will Menzel committing to Oregon. That was a fun one just yesterday. And today, another special day. This time, we're going to go to the defensive side of the ball. So it's time to lock in. Get ready. In about 5 minutes, we're going to have a commitment. But before we do that, guys, hit subscribe to the Rivals YouTube channel. This is the best recruiting channel on all of YouTube. All right. Who are we here for today? Let's get into it. It's Semaj Stanford, a 4-star safety from Broken Arrow, Oklahoma. We got another top 10 player at their position. Stanford checks in at number 7 on the safety charts, and he goes 5'10", 185, and he's got every offer you could dream of. And look at this top 4. This is a healthy top 4: Ohio State, Georgia, Texas, Oregon. As always, you guys, you're the real recruiting experts, so get in the chat and let me know where Semaj is going. We're going to be there in about 3 minutes. So right now, let's bring in national recruiting analyst here at Rivals, Sam Spiegelman. Sam, we got Semaj Stanford. He's going to be ready to commit in less than 5 minutes. So give us the latest intel on this recruitment.
Yeah, you said it. It's a very healthy top 4 for Semaj Stanford, one of the best defensive backs in the country. We are pinning this as a 2-team race right now heading into today. We have Texas and we have Oregon at the top. He's also made visits to Ohio State and Georgia. They obviously have seats at the final table, but we expect him to choose Texas or Oregon. Those were the 2 visits that moved the needle the biggest for Semaj Stanford over the past month and change as he's gotten to each of these final schools. Our intel over the last couple of days has pointed to the Ducks. You mentioned it, Josh. Will Menzel, the number 1 quarterback in the country, committed to the Ducks a few days ago. Dan Lanning and Oregon have been red hot on the recruiting trail. Our predictions, me, myself, Steve Wilfong, Max Torres are on the Ducks to close out with Semaj Stanford, one of the best defensive backs in the country, one of the top targets in this 2027 class.
All right, let's take a live look here. We have the principal at Broken Arrow High School. He's speaking. Semaj is going to speak here in just moments. So, Sam, what do we love about Semaj Stanford as a prospect?
Yeah, what's not to love? When you think about safeties, you think about position versatility, you think about playmaking ability. Semaj Stanford did all of that last year for Broken Arrow. When you think about some of the schools that are recruiting him, they love him as not just a safety, not just a corner, but someone who plays that all-important nickel position, which he has the traits for, Josh. He's got 10.8 speed in the 100-meter, 22 flat in the 200-meter. He can play outside at cornerback. He can play back deep at safety. He can play in your face at the line at that all-important nickel position, which is going to have you playing in the middle of the field. Last season as a junior, over 100 tackles. We know that physicality and the ability to find the football is essential for this position. 5 interceptions, 2 pick six, 2 blocked field goals. This guy is a playmaker, whether it's back deep, lined up one-on-one, or in that all-important nickel spot. He's someone you want manning your secondary. He's an absolute playmaker on the back end of your defense.
Yeah, he is a dog, and we're going to find out if he's going to be a UGA dog. I just meant like he's really good in that secondary, but we're going to find out. So this is the high school football coach speaking. Let's go tap in with the audio here. It's Semaj Stanford's ceremony in Oklahoma.
Not trying to embarrass you, 3.8, 3.9 GPA. Does a wonderful job there. Also a great teammate, a very demanding teammate, and also a great citizen in our community. So it's simply put, we appreciate that from Broken Arrow Public Schools, man. We appreciate who you are and what you stand for. At this time, it's time to get the real show up here. Semaj Stanford, come on up here. And congratulations on whatever you get ready to choose and do. Thank you, sir.
Is this on? All right. Oh, sure. First, I want to say thank you to my Lord and Savior, Jesus Christ. I've been blessed, overly blessed to be over in this position I am in now. I want to say thank you for everybody coming out. I want to say thank you to all the coaches. I appreciate y'all, all the hard work y'all do. Y'all have families to attend, and y'all come look out for us in practice. So I appreciate that. I want to say thank you to my mom, my dad. They done had a lot of sacrifices for me and my brother. So I'm just blessed to be in this position for them. I want to say thank you to my Jeremiah. That's my dog right there. I want to say thank you to Jalen, my older brother, my grandma, my Mimi. I want to appreciate them. Just like my mom and dad, they didn't sacrifice a lot for I can have the life that I got now. I want to say thank you to my teammates. I appreciate y'all, man, from August to January, December, however long it is. You know what I'm saying? Put in the work with y'all, build relationships. That's gonna go farther than what football is gonna go. So I appreciate that. That being said, the next 3 to 5 years, next 3 to 5 years, I'll be attending. Appreciate y'all for dropping out, coming, supporting. This is a hard decision. Everybody know my dream school was Georgia. I feel like I had to put my dream aside to go what's best for me. I had a lot of resources, a lot of thoughts, a lot of late night talks about this decision. And I just feel like I made the best decision for me and my family. And I appreciate y'all. I love all y'all. I appreciate y'all.
At this time, obviously, Semaj will have a lot of opportunity to talk with press, community, social media, and all that stuff. So his show's just starting.
Well, Oregon fans, we meet again 22 and a half hours ago. Will Menzel committed to Oregon, and just moments ago, Semaj Stanford is a Duck. We got Sam Spiegelman here, national analyst with Rivals. We just witnessed an emotional moment. You can see Semaj still kind of just taking it in. The fallout of this decision is not weighing on him. I mean, you can just tell he's been going through it. And how can you not? I mean, Sam, the programs that he chose from, I mean, you literally cannot go wrong. But how do you think Oregon won this recruitment?
Yeah, I think this really did come down to the last couple of visits, Josh. Like I said, Texas and also Oregon really separated from the pack. They'd been separating from the pack, but this is coming from a junior season that had him visiting Norman a bunch of times. The Sooners would have loved to have kept Semaj Stanford inside the state. Nebraska was making a very hard push for Semaj Stanford. He made a string of visits out to Lincoln, but then you had schools like his dream school, Georgia, Texas, which really wanted Semaj Stanford to be a part of their secondary plans, and Oregon really come full throttle beginning in January to this moment now. That visit to Oregon, the time around Chris Hampton, and you see how Semaj is celebrating amongst his family. He's a very family-oriented young man. No one does that better than Dan Lanning and that staff in Eugene. I think committing gives them a great football player. Of course, we're talking about a blue chip safety, but a phenomenal young man to be a part of the Ducks football program.
Yeah, and what a month it has been for the Oregon Ducks on the recruiting trail. I mean, we are 23 days into the month of April, and I think about 25 days ago, Oregon fans were on the verge of a meltdown when it came to recruiting. USC was kind of picking up the pace a little bit, and Oregon had only 3 or 4 commitments. Well, guess what? In 23 days, Oregon now has 5 commitments from top prospects. Rashard Street, A. King Hall, Josiah Molden, Will Menzel yesterday in today, Semaj Stanford. So, the ebbs and flows of recruiting, they happen with every team. But right now, is there a hotter team on the recruiting trail than the Oregon Ducks?
I think when you look at the proof is in the pudding, Josh. I mean, the number one quarterback, the number 5 safety. You're looking at an elite edge in Rashad Streets, an elite cornerback, the number one cornerback in the country in A. King Hill. Kadarius Miller was coveted by schools across the country, across the SEC, and very coveted in state by Texas before he committed to Oregon. And they're not done. They're finalists for Julian Caldwell, who's going to commit on the Rivals YouTube channel in a couple of weeks. They're finalists for J.P. Jones-Priest, one of the best running backs in the country out of Texas. They're continuing to shoot their shot around the country. They recruit the best in the country, and we see today they often come out on top.
Yeah, in the state of from Oklahoma to Oregon, Semaj Stanford is a Duck. So you think it really came down to these two? I mean, Texas made a late push, just not able to get it across the finish line. Do you think that there's? I mean, I know this is shouldn't be said on the day that he commits, but is Texas going to continue to press for Semaj?
Texas is going to continue to recruit Semaj and hope they can get him on campus for an official visit. But look at what Oregon did with position coach, defensive coordinator Chris Hampton, and Dan Lanning both playing a big role. I think the difference, if you look at what the Ducks have done at Semaj's position, we talked about it. He's a safety that can line up also in the middle of the field. They signed a 5-star at this position, Trey McNutt, a couple of years ago. They've Aaron Flowers is another safety that they recruited, who is now playing a huge role on that defense. When you look at what Dan Lanning and Chris Hampton are doing with their safeties, putting them in position to make plays, this is why you come out on top. I'm not saying that Texas isn't having guys drafted, or Georgia or Ohio State, please. We don't even have enough time to go over some of the defensive backs that have come there. But Dan Lanning and Chris Hampton are putting their playmakers at safety in a position on this defense. Semaj Stanford loved what he saw breaking down tape with Coach Hampton. He identified that as a catalyst over the last 4 or 5 visits that he made. And I think that we're seeing those yield those returns on the recruiting trail now.
Yeah. And, they could be competing for one of the best DB classes in America, especially if the big flip goes down that, we've been kind of talking about. Dante Wright committed to Georgia, but he's from California, the number 1 player in the state of California now, I believe. And Dante Wright, there's been some predictions put in for him to flip to Oregon. I know he made a trip to Athens, but what's your take on that recruitment?
Yeah, that's a recruitment that seems very fluid. He returned to Athens for G-Day, which is always a big weekend on campus for Kirby. Seeing Georgia in action, you're seeing a bunch of future first rounders and NFL prospects move around. And when it comes to defensive backs, much like Dan Lanning, much like Steve Sarkisian in Texas, much like Ryan Day and those Buckeyes, it's one of those few schools that the secondary play and the secondary coaching really stands out. Obviously, the production and development there, but we're seeing Dan Lanning and Chris Hampton. They love to go after the best in the country. They're eyeing the best secondary in the hall in the country. So is Texas A&M. We'll see if they have enough juice with someone with West Coast ties before the cycle is over.
All right. Well, we appreciate you stopping by on another exciting live commitment here on the Rivals YouTube channel. Thank you, Sam.
Yep, excited to be here for the next one.
Yeah. And hey, you guys, let me know. Were you here? I want to know. Say, I was here. Put it in the chat. I was here. If you were here 22 and a half hours ago when number 1 quarterback Will Menzel committed to Oregon. I just want to know how many of you are repeat customers here at the Rivals YouTube channel. All right. Enough of that. Today, it was all about Semaj Stanford, Broken Arrow, Oklahoma, Broken Arrow High School. He is an Oregon Duck. The grass is green. We got big Duck energy going on all over our Rivals YouTube channel. But today, Semaj Stanford gave his commitment to Dan Lanning and that staff. Thank you guys for joining us. Make sure you hit subscribe. We got more commitments coming. We got a big one on Saturday, so hit subscribe and meet us back here